Now it's doing a countdown. Okay, I've already messed up. Right. Okay. Now it's recording. Already messing up. Hi everyone. Welcome to the very first podcast. We're already nervous. Of Memory Card Not Found. The gaming podcast where we talk about everyone's memories and the games associated with those memories. I think I've said that in the right order, right, Kieran?
Pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah, I think I've nailed it. You can tell we're really professional. I think we spent the last 10 minutes talking about how do we even open a podcast. So that's clearly the professionalism level we're at the moment. But I'm sure it will get better. I'm sure it'll get better.
Yeah, I mean, people are definitely toning in.
Toning in. Yeah, they're doing ab workouts as they're listening to this podcast.
They're coming in to hear our dulcet tones because,
yes, our beautiful Scottish accents. And I don't know why I just started whispering there. This is an ASMR Memory Card Not Found podcast.
I mean, you say Scottish, we're not. Our accents are not typical Scottish accents. I mean, and they're pretty low key if you consider how most people sound from Scotland.
If a thick Scottish accent was like a very colourful pop-up book, we'd just be a white piece of paper.
That pretty much sums up.
But yeah, this is Memory Card Not Found, where we talk about our favourite games, the people we bring in their favourite games, their memories associated with it. I don't think we've even introduced ourselves, Kieran.
We have not.
Okay. Do you want to go first?
Yes. I'm Kieran. I've been a gamer since I was, I'd like to say, 4-ish. My first console was a Sega Mega Drive, and it just kind of spiraled from there. Nintendo 64 all the way up to current PS5.
The only image of a Mega Drive I have is... What was it? Is it Sonic? What's the Sonic game on the Mega Drive? Sonic? No, it's
the first one. Yeah, Sega Mega Drive has Sonic, Sonic 2, Sonic 3.
There's a Sonic game where it's not just 2D, but there's like a 3D section where you're like running down a tube and collecting gems.
Yeah, I mean you do get Sonic 3D, but I can't remember if that was Sega or PC because it's literally called Sonic 3D.
So we really love games, but we don't have the facts to back it up. That's my only memory of a Mega Drive.
A Mega Drive, my dad got me it, and then a guy that lived, he was a couple of years older than me, but he gave me a box of Sega Mega Drive games because. Basically, I was moving, and he we always kind of hung out and played games a bit. So he was just, I have these games, and then I had I still have a big box of Sega games, loads of them. Along with I kept mostly just every old game I have. I think I've got. Some
nice. So they're just collecting dust, right? You don't have the Mega Drive out, right?
No, I don't have it out. It's in a box on top of my wardrobe, but I'd need a different TV.
You need those old TVs as well. You know what I love about the Mega Drive? It was back in the day where everything had to sound really cool, right? So it was the Sega Mega Drive, the Super Nintendo, the Atari Jaguar. It's like...
the old cool consoles were always very in your face, kind of like a pop-up ad.
Yeah, bring back wood finishes as well, right? That's the sign of class. If I could have a wood finish on my PlayStation 5, that would be just the chef's kiss.
See, because of the PS5's things are detachable and white, I've always wanted to get someone to just paint on the sides, get a couple of my favorite games on the side or something. Because I've seen someone do a God of War one, a few other ones. But I think the only ones PlayStation are selling are standard, just solid colors, purple, blue, red, etc.
Well, I mean, it's the beauty of being able to detach the faceplates, but it's just trusting someone to paint it. And you were talking about your favorite games on the side of that, and we're actually going to get to Kieran's favorite games in this episode. Oh my God, I've not introduced myself yet because I got on a tangent of Mega Drive.
That was my entire introduction, that whole segment.
And that's the podcast, just Kieran introducing himself and us going onto a random tangent. I guess I'll introduce myself. So my name is Sam. Oh my God, I sound like I'm in a business meeting. I sound like I'm on a Teams call. Hi, my name's Sam Lyon, and my
Yeah.
fact is I can juggle with 3 balls. No, there's no way I can say this without sounding like a business meeting. But I'm Sam, and I like gaming.
Sound like you're in a addicts meeting. My name's Sam, and I'm a gamer.
I've been gaming my whole life. I can't go a day without it. It's ruined my family. My wife's left me. My kids have disowned me. And there's nothing much else to say about me. But I just like Kieran. I've been gaming my whole life. My first console was if I remember rightly, it was a Super Nintendo that my aunt gave me, and she gave me just one game. She gave me Mega Man, like the original Mega Man.
Jeez,
Was a NES actually then? But yeah, if you ever want to Google, Kieran and listeners, if you want to Google the original Mega Man cartridge, it is like a hand-drawn picture of like a man in a yellow suit who's meant to be Mega Man. Looks nothing like him, and it's really creepy. It's really realistic, and it's just always it's always stuck with me. So yeah, I've been playing all the consoles since I was a kid.
Older games always have more effort put into them. Like the old school games came with like a big cartridge box. It came with a booklet, stuff on the back.
Oh my god, the manual, Kieran! I'm not lying. I am not lying right now, Kieran. When I say I opened Kingdom Hearts, my PS2 Kingdom Hearts box, and I took out the manual, and I was just reading it, and it had like the characters, the introduction, the combat. I would pay more money for a manual boxed game again. I tell you.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of my favorite manuals is not even from any of my favorite games. It was from a game called Vex. I'm pretty sure it was for either the Nintendo GameCube or the PS2 or something. Basically, it's like a little game, and it's like kind of like Jak and Daxter. You run around and collect things. You try and beat the big bad guy at the end. But there is a mission level thing that you go into this little world, and there's this little floating platform dais thing in the middle of this lake, and you jump on it, and it's on above there's like buttons you have to press in order or something. Or you have to rearrange people on this platform or something. But basically it says the answers lie within the book. And at the very back of the manual in the game box is the answer to the actual thing you're meant to do. So like I was sitting there for like an hour, just like what book? What you on about? There's no book here. And then I look in the manual, there's instructions stuff. Go to the very back, and it's just like these are the answers you seek. I'm just like, oh, for God's sake.
Wait, so the way forward in the game was to actually read the instruction booklet.
Yeah, I mean it was only like a side thing to get like an extra like orb or whatever, but like it was legit like the answer to the thing, unless you like spam different buttons, was to look in the game manual, which I haven't seen anything like that since, and that came out years ago.
No, that would be like trying to have to sniff on the internet for, I mean, I guess that's all we do now is, right, you Google or watch a YouTube video for how to do it, but I guess it's the equivalent, except they build that into the game. That's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, back then you didn't have Google or anything to like search up walkthroughs. You had to just brave it, because there wasn't like John from Ohio telling you the exact order of the game you should be playing. There's nothing like that. It's just you and your common sense.
Is there a guy called John from Ohio that you have used previously? Is that why that came to mind?
No, I think it was just kind of like the symbolism of it.
It's legit John. No, there's a guy listening called John who's from Ohio, and he'll be like, "That's me. I'm the one who's been helping him this whole time."
Yeah, shout out John. You've been an OG.
Awesome. So I think right. So if you remember, I'm Sam, and that's Kieran.
Hi.
Kieran, speak again. There we go. Hi. Perfect. That's our introductions done and dusted. I want to do a little bit of formalities just to let you know how this thing usually goes down. Is, we're going to actually go through someone's top 5 game list. It's just myself and my co-host Kieran. We are actually running this podcast, and we're going to start bringing friends on. We're going to start bringing people from the industry on, and we just want to hear about their favorite games and why it's their favorite games. But just to get a refresher of who we are as people, what kind of games we like, we thought we'd have the first 2 episodes about us because we're vain, aren't we? Aren't we, Kieran? We're vain.
Everything's about us at this point. So I mean, I think people deserve to know about us.
We could have Ryan Reynolds on here, and we'll eventually start talking about ourselves again, and he's just got to listen to it.
He's got to accept the fact that our top 5 games are more important.
Yeah, right. These are my top 5 games. They really mean a lot to me. You know, they really affected me when times were really tough. And they're like, that's great, but have you heard about this game on the Sega Mega Drive?
Have you played Sonic 2? Tails was a great character.
Do you know about the instruction booklet that actually has the passcode to get into the next level of the game? I don't want to hear about your top 5. No, we do. We want to hear about all our friends' top 5s. We want to hear people from the industry's top 5s as well, whether it's games they actually made themselves or whether it's games that inspire them to be into gaming. But yeah, we're just here for a casual chat chit. Yeah, that's what we should call it. This is the Chat Chit podcast. Sounds like Chat Shit podcast, but we move on. Kieran, segue me in somewhere before I start losing myself.
Segue. Okay, so the next bit we're going to speak about briefly my top 5 games and like a big deep dive into my 2 favorite games.
You're gonna give me a musical intro to signify that we're going into it right now.
I got
3, 2, 1. The canon. That's canon. We'll get that snippet, and that's what we'll move into the next section.
That little audio sequence, yeah.
Cool. Let's right. That was a great segue. Right, let's move into your top 5 games. We chat a lot. I think it's fair to say, Kieran, about our top 10s. We constantly try and update them all the time, don't we?
Well, we try. I mean, I always feel like I have to like add a game into my top 10 because it's been the same top 10 for a while now, and a lot of them are, I'd say, games that came out in the 2000s mostly.
I mean, it's not a bad thing, right? I mean, you like what you like. You're an old man. You're an old man.
I mean, it's like I always have hopes for a certain game that comes out, and I'm just like, oh, hopefully this will make it in my top 10 because I believed like it had the potential. And then you play it, and it's just like I really liked it, but it's not better than my 10th game.
I think you and me had that issue with Harry Potter, right? Or not Harry Potter, sorry, Hogwarts Legacy.
Yeah, I loved the game. I loved it to bits. It was just like I'd just played it on loop constantly for days. But when I finished it, it was just like it was good, but it was a bit slightly repetitive in these parts, and like it was as good as I hoped it would be.
Yeah, I felt like that as well. I felt I had a lot of potential. It looked pretty. I got to explore the castle, but at the end, it almost felt like I just like, did you ever play Assassin's Creed Origins where you got to do like exploration mode and just kind of walk around the pyramids?
I mean, I've played older Assassin's Creeds, but like I know Assassin's Creed Origins. I know what you mean.
Yeah, so there's a mode in there where you can just click exploration, and it's literally just a walking like history lesson about the pyramids, but you get to free roam. So there's no enemies, there's no story. You just get to explore and learn about the pyramids. Almost felt like that was the case with Hogwarts Legacy. When you're in the school, I was like, this is cool. I'm walking history, but the novelty, I wouldn't say wore off, but it got quite tired in the end. And yeah, I'm the same as you. I was a bit disappointed with it not cracking the top 10.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of it, even as big as the map is, and it's a big map, it still felt empty. Like there was a lot they could have put in different sections, different spin-off, like just other sections of the game that should have been included that was never. And a lot of it was just you flying around, just collecting teleport points and all this sort of stuff and killing a couple of trolls.
God, there were so many Merlin trials. So many Merlin. You couldn't skip the animation. I think I lost like a good hour just on animations, and probably more of my life on Merlin trial animations. Oh,
I mean, it was good, but like at the end of the game, when you've done everything and you're just flying around, like, okay, I've got to get this one, I've got to get this one, I need this one, and then you get to the end and you think you have everything and you don't, and then you're just like, oh, I just can't be bothered anymore.
well, you're currently locked out that game, right, from platinum, isn't it?
Yeah, like a lot of the games I play, I get to like 90% trophy level, and then I'm just like, I just don't want to finish it.
Well, we can put Hogwarts Legacy aside then, because
Yeah.
I think we could probably talk about that for quite a while, because we're both big Harry Potter universe fans, and we're just big gamers all around, so we could just talk about games endlessly. But you do have a top 5 that we want to talk about, and we specifically want to talk about your top 2 games as well. So, if you want to start off with, I guess, number 5, what's your 5th favorite game of all time?
My fifth favorite game is, I think, the oldest game on this list.
The oldest game on the list.
Which is Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time.
Oh god, when did that come out? That was 19. That was late
was
90s. 90s.
Yeah.
Jeez, what a game though. I mean, I think that's pretty much on everyone's.
Yeah.
A lot of people. I wouldn't say everyone. Don't quote me. That's a bad quote. But a lot of people would regard Ocarina of Time as a fantastic game. So
yeah, because I'm pretty sure up until Breath of the Wild, it was the high selling Ocarina Legend of Zelda game because of modern consoles.
I was a way to say was it the high selling just on Nintendo 64 or including all the ports to like GameCube and 3DS and stuff?
Yeah, because I mean, over the years it was like high selling, and then like it was re-released and sold more, and released as a remaster and sold more again, and there was the master editions. There was like people kept on remaking it and remastering on 3DS and all this sort of stuff. So if you add them up, it's extensive. But Breath of the Wild is just there's so many switches, and that was just like one of the highest point selling games they had. And the sequel is coming out like in the next couple of days. Or
Tears of the Kingdom. I reckon they spin a wheel and just name stuff now. Tears of the Kingdom sounds like a random generator name.
At this point, they're just gonna waffle. It's gonna be like Ganondorf's hobbies.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the last Zelda I played I played a lot of Zelda, but the last one I think I played was Wind Waker, so it was quite a while ago. I do have a Switch as well, but I just waiting for that non-existent price drop on Nintendo games is impossible. But anyway, let's move on from Ocarina of Time. So what is game number 4 on the list?
Game number 4 also relates to my second one, being it's the same world universe basically. But 4 is Life is Strange: True Colors.
Yes, and I don't want to dwell on the Life is Strange concept too much because that's going to be the focus of number 2, which spoiler alert. I wonder what game is in number 2.
Comment down below with what one you think it is.
Can you comment on Spotify? I don't think you can you?
I know you can like follow things and maybe
shout really loudly on the bus what number 2 is going to be right now. Shout it really loud.
Yeah, and then maybe we'll hear you.
Yeah. I think it's a good thing to point out that we are going to be on Spotify, hopefully other streaming devices, and then maybe when we look pretty, we might do it on YouTube as well. But yeah, it's certainly Spotify. You can listen to us and hopefully other streaming services as well. But Kieran, I've derailed you again. What's number 3?
Number 3, if I have my facts right, is your number 1, which is Kingdom Hearts 2.
I think that's I think that's also my number 3 because number 1 is Kingdom Hearts 1 for
right.
me.
Your first, first Kingdom Hearts. But
so you're wrong that 2 is better than 1, but this podcast is not for judging people. This
we have different tastes. So I mean, my favorite Kingdom Hearts game was 2, and Sam's was 1. But we move.
Yeah, we will delve heavily into Kingdom Hearts in the next episode because that is my number one game. So if you do like Kingdom Hearts, or you just like hearing us again, next time you will hear us talk about my favorite games. So yeah, we won't, again, just like True Colors, stay too long on Kingdom Hearts 2. But were you suckered in by Kingdom Hearts because of the Final Fantasy or because of the Disney? That's always my favorite
It
question.
was neither.
Oh, okay.
It was luck, pure and simple luck that I got into Kingdom Hearts. I can't remember what year it was, but back when it was 20 odd years ago, maybe 15, 20 years. There was an old game shop down just off the high street where we live, and it was called Solid Gold Game Center. But growing up, it's where my dad took me and mum took me. Basically, get a game. You got like £5 games, £10 games. Pick a game. He showed a game book out the side. He gave it to the guy, and he got you the game. And he also like gave you reviews and stuff about the game, what he thought. But basically, for Christmas, I told my mum, just get me a random game from Solid Gold. Just I
the gaming gods were smiling upon you.
Yeah, so mum went and got the game, and then for Christmas I opened it, and it was Kingdom Hearts 2.
You literally said, just get me a random game.
No, literally, I just said I did that a few times. I still do that. Like for Christmas, last Christmas, I said, get me the weirdest thing you can find, and she got me a rock with googly eyes on it.
I mean, that is quite weird. I did, yeah. I remember you showing me that rock, and that was weird.
Yeah,
like that's your Christmas present.
A lot of the stuff I do is random, but I got Kingdom Hearts 2. It was for the PS2, and it spiraled from there. And also because of my love of my number one, it also helped with Kingdom Hearts 2 because it was the same kind of genre.
Damn. I don't know why. Whoa, where did that come from? Damn, Daniel. Oh, yeah. Oh, you like your games, don't you?
He's tapping into our American roots.
Yeah, clearly just hyped up for this podcast. I've dropped my notes, which is why there was a very short bout of silence there. Because we are going to move on to the number 2 game and what we're going to start talking about. So, Kieran, drum roll, I guess. I guess that's drums, right?
That's a weird set of drums.
It's a good set, I think.
Well, if you guessed the Life is Strange game...
Yeah, if you shouted on the bus really loudly...
If you shouted the first Life is Strange, then you won, because my number 2 is the very first Life is Strange game.
Okay, now this is where we're going to get into some meat and potatoes. What do they call it, getting into the meat and potatoes? Is that just the staple dish of America?
I think it was because it's mostly what a lot of people had, is just tatties and meat, and you ate your little side bits first, and then you got into like the big piece of your dish you're going to eat.
What's the big piece? So I'm going to get into my pasta and sauce now of, because that's my meat and potatoes. It's quite a dull thing. I hear pages flipping.
Yeah,
I hear pages.
There's a lot.
There's a lot to unpack. There's a lot to unpack with Life is Strange.
My brain works in a weird way, so I mean, my notes are all over the place with arrows and lines and everything connecting. So
it'll all make sense soon. Yeah, Kieran, I think just for everyone out there, because these are going to be your top 2 games, if you want to give a quick synopsis and overview about Life is Strange, with the story, spoiler free, of course, unless
I'll try.
I mean, if you guys are really scared about this game did come out in 2015, so one, shame on you if you're trying to avoid spoilers still. But stick your fingers in your ears for maybe like a minute and go la 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 really loud on the bus while Kieran tells you the story.
At this point, it's been like 8 years, and if you still haven't played it, shame on you.
8 years? You were... Oh my god, I was so young.
Yes. So basically, Life is Strange. I think 8 years. Wait, no, maybe. Yeah. So Life is Strange came out in 2015. The first, it's episodic, so there's 5 parts to the game, and they all came out months apart. The first episode came out January 30th, 2015, and the last episode, episode 5, came out on the 20th of October. So when I was playing the game, we saw the trailer before it came out, and then I played it. The very first episode was just after it came out, and then it was just me waiting for months for episode 2. So basically, Life is Strange, to sum it up, is kind of like a supernatural, fantasy-esque dip into reality of like a normal life. It's based on mainly 2 characters, which is Max Caulfield and Chloe Price, which is set in the town of Arcadia Bay, which I believe is in the state of Washington.
Please be Ohio. John from Ohio is disappointed.
I don't know, like the exact state, but basically, it's probably not Washington at this point. Probably waffling.
You've committed, right? Washington it is.
Yeah, new lore.
Confident.
And it was developed. The first one was developed by Don't Nod Studios, which is a spin-off of Square Enix, I think.
I'll get into that very, very shortly as well. While I ask you some hard-hitting questions. Don't you worry.
Yeah. So to sum it up, Max is a photography student who her best friend was Chloe Price. When basically she's coming back from Seattle, where her parents live, to go to the premier photography school with one of the best photography teachers known in the area, to further her education. She moves back, and basically, to sum it up, she sees something traumatic and gets the power to rewind time. And the game is mostly her going into the butterfly effect almost, where she changes things and everything just basically spins out of control, and she tries to fix everything, which further spins out of control. And it's kind of like a look into her life and the people around her and what your decisions would be, where they give you a scenario and you have to choose what you think is right and then see the consequences of your choices.
Nice. So, I guess that's a quick summary of it. Fun fact: did you say it's got time travel in it? Essentially, rewind time.
Rewind time, yeah.
So, from my understanding, this game would be banned in China because the Chinese government have banned time travel. That's why you can't watch Doctor Who, right, in China. So this game is certified Chinese. Time travel is banned in China. Don't know if you know that.
What, like just the whole, just the concept, or like time travel?
The concept, time travel in general, just not allowed to talk about time travel. So this game would not fly in China.
Ouch.
Yes, wow. So there's probably a lot of people missing out on this game. But no, I think you summarized it really well. Yes, you're right. The game came out in 2015. Do you remember this whole episodic craze that came out? Like, it wasn't just Life is Strange. It was like The Wolf Among Us, Walking Dead.
A lot of, so like, it is almost Telltale-esque. Telltale did Walking Dead, Wolf Among Us, like all these games that were pick a choice and see what happens. But I think Life is Strange was one of the first to not be under Telltale that did a kind of different way of doing the choices episodic craze.
For sure, and I can't wait to actually get into why this is like number 2 on your game. Is, as you said, you've played the Mega Drive. You for years you've been a console goer, and this is 2015, quite a recent game in terms of your whole gaming life at the moment. So the fact that Life is Strange is number 2 must say a lot. But I'm going to fill in some blanks as well. So development actually started in 2013 with only 15 people. And do you want to take a guess, Kieran, what the code name of this game was called?
Oh,
this could be anything. So I don't even know why I'm asking. It's a really unfair question. There's so many words in the dictionary.
It could be anything. Because the only codes I know, I'm pretty sure Hideo Kojima's game was like Project like Neo or Morpheus or something, or was that something else? But I couldn't even begin to guess. Maybe something.
So it was code. It was yeah. So I guess in that kind of sense, it was codenamed "What If." So that's
Fair.
it's probably quite a hard pitch. You just go, it's like, this game is called "What If," and they'll be like, well, what if what? It's like, exactly. That's how we're going to pitch it.
Give us all your money, we'll get you a great game.
So you're almost right with Don't Nod Studios being kind of a subsidiary of Square Enix. At the time, they were actually freelance developers, from what I've been reading into, and they actually tried to pitch the game to a lot of studios. But you know what? You know why no one picked it up other than Square Enix?
I dread to think.
It's pretty rubbish, to be fair, and I'm hoping that the gaming landscape has actually changed for the better because of this. But apparently, and this is a rough quote from the Don't Nod Studios, but apparently most developers didn't want a female lead, and only Square Enix didn't want to change that. So Don't Nod were determined for it to be a female lead, and Square Enix was like, yeah, whatever, sounds good to me.
Yeah, Square Enix is not like, they don't care about risks of female leads or anything. They've got, I think they've done.
Well, they had Lightning at the time, right? As well.
Yeah, they had Lightning in Final Fantasy 13. They've got just recently they have Forsaken, which has a female lead, and then I'm currently playing Horizon Forbidden West, which is also one of the primary female leads. As Last of Us, like a lot of the top games made, which I'd like to think people really don't care about having female leads in games now, as in it's a good thing.
Yeah, back in the day they were like, no, it needs to be a white man with short hair and a really gruffy attitude. Remember, like the PlayStation 3 days, like even the backgrounds were all grey and brown. There was no color at all.
Yeah, just run and gun, run through environments with a guy and a gun.
Yeah, I think Life is Strange is definitely one of those games that I remember. 2015 is quite a while now, but I remember it being a very colorful game, like very colorful.
Oh, a lot of oranges and reds. The backgrounds and the animation, the color work were a lot different to what things were usually done, because the animation style is different to just Unreal Engine bog standard kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. I've only got one other fact for you, Kieran, before I jump in. You might know this, but did you know there was a comic book series of the same name by Titan Comics?
I know there is a comic series based on Max and Chloe, and some of it branches out into what they do after the game, which I need to explore.
Yeah, so there's actually been a few. I think there's the one I'm talking about. I think it's called Arcadia. It's literally called Arcadia Bay, and it's about just the lives of people in Arcadia Bay, I think. But I think it's drawn and written by, I'm going to butcher her name here, so apologies, Emma Vicelli. She's Essex born, so she's from London way, but she's done a lot. She's done a lot of comics. So I think she's the primary writer and drawer of Vampire Diaries, but she's also done Doctor Who as well, a Doctor Who comic, which I think is quite cool. Yeah, and I know you like your Doctor Who, so maybe definitely check out Arcadia Bay.
Yeah, I mean, I like my certain Doctor Who.
Yeah. Well, the reboot is. I don't know if you know this, but I saw Jonathan Groff is going to be playing a major role in the new Doctor Who.
Okay.
I don't know if you know Jonathan Groff, but he was in like Glee. He's in Mindhunter. He's a Broadway kid at heart. So
yeah, I mean, Doctor Who wise, I'm just glad they got the writers that got me into Doctor Who back, because I started with Christopher Eccleston all the way through to Peter Capaldi, and for the most part, it was the same writer doing a universe build. The fact they're bringing back is good.
Yeah, no, it's really good to hear. There's lightning outside my house right now, so I get a flash and then thunder comes and I get really scared. But yeah, I'm getting distracted. Cool. Do you mind if I ask you a couple of questions about Life is Strange before we move on to your number one game?
Please do. I have notes.
I have so many notes. Well, we'll try and time box this as well, because we do want to give a longer shout out to your favorite game. But yeah, first question really is, why Life is Strange? What made you play it in the first place? What drew you to seeing that game in a trailer or like someone playing it and go, that's the game I want to play?
I think to start with, it was at the time when I was playing it. I would life-wise, I wasn't in the best frame of mind of where it was. So having this little calming, soothing game where the music I think it just affected me a bit when I saw the trailer. I'm just like, I really like that. And then I saw like the premise and I saw the characters, the animation style, and it was all very like calm, relaxed, and you could just like almost sit there and listen to it for hours, which I do because there is, I think the Life is Strange studios dropped like a couple hour lo-fi of their soundtrack of Life is Strange, which is one of my relaxing things I listen to. But
for sure, you quickly mentioned the music. Yeah, that's one thing I noticed about the game. The music was actually composed by a man called Jonathan Morali. He's a French composer. Don't know it's a French studio, as Kieran quickly told me a couple hours before this podcast. I had no idea. He was actually the front man for a French band called Sid Matters, and he's only got 2 video game credits to his name, just 2. But clearly, what an impact he's made on you then.
Yeah, so I was going to say Sid Matters was some of the songs on the game. One of my favorites being Obstacles, which is one of the primary songs you hear on the game. There's a lot of others like Local Natives, Foals,
Foals, what a band.
Bright Eyes, Message to Bears kind of thing. So they're all the same kind of style of music if you listen to the songs together. But that style of music, if I hear something that's kind of like it, I'm always like, Life is Strange music, even if it's nothing to do with the game. I like put it in my playlist, and it's always just kind of like relaxing to listen to.
It just zens you out then.
Yeah, it's pretty much my go-to if I need to just kind of like relax and detoxify myself from like daily life.
Nice. So you mentioned the characters. There's 2 main characters. There's Chloe and Max and Chloe. However, you want to ship them in which order. But why did you resonate with the characters the way you did? You mentioned that previously. Is the characters are a central point to this?
Yeah. Character-wise, I think each character, well, most of the main characters, I resonated with in certain ways. If it came to like personality-wise or hobbies, like I was kind of like the same as Max. During the time I started playing the game, I was like trying to help. I was like, I loved my photography, which I went on to study further. Kate-wise, there was always times in my life where I was just very quiet and meek almost. Wasn't sure what I was doing, and it was always all thoughts in my head kind of thing. Chloe-wise, I think it was mostly just the trying to fight back against anything that's trying to control her almost, try to get out of places that I really didn't want to be anymore, rebelling almost. Just stuff like that. The characters would always, like, I see a part of them in me almost. So like together in the same game, I could just see myself in each scenario of the game, which some of which has happened.
No, so combined with the music and the characters, it was definitely a game that kind of made you feel like you were part of that world because you, I guess, resonated with those characters as much as you felt you were also in Arcadia Bay as them or looking over them actually in the game. Is that a fair assumption?
Yeah, I could very easily see myself in the same place, the same atmosphere. It was all kind of me in like a weird shaped ball almost.
Nice. I'm going to take a quick drink because I've been talking a lot. Did you find anything? I know this is your top 2 games, but did you find anything frustrating about the game? Maybe like the mechanics or stories, or do you actually see this as a ball of perfection? Would you have liked it not episodic, for example, or?
I mean, I liked episodic wise. I kind of liked having a break in between each one because if I just had the game and I just played the whole thing, I'd probably miss a lot of what they were trying to tell me. Like if I played episode 1 and I had weeks to just kind of like go over what the game meant, the music, play it over a couple times, just really get a feel for that episode, which I did for each one, which I think is why I remember it so vividly. Mostly the thing that bugged me was there was a lot of choices and things that you could affect in the game, like changing people's outcomes, just choices that you really vibed with, that you thought, okay, I can affect this, I can change this, this will affect other things, and you do all of that. But what annoyed me is there's spoilers for anything. Anyone that hasn't really finished it, I'd probably skip over this bit. But the endings, there's only 2 variations. Like you have 2 choices at the end, and you can choose one or the other depending on how close you are with certain characters. I would have liked like a lot more different endings where the variations would kick in. If you did things for certain characters, that would change how they feel or look or anything in these certain endings, and you could do different things. I know one of the new, is it Don't Nod or Deck 9? They released a new game that has upwards of 20 endings.
Oh wow.
It's a new fantasy style, and you choose like who you side with, and then you choose what endings happen within them, and there's loads of different factions in the game. So that kind of thing, if it was included more in Life is Strange instead of just the 2 endings. I love the endings, don't get me wrong, but I'd have liked a bit more variation, you know.
No, that's a fair assessment. I'm going to ask one more question, and I really want to move on to your top game. We've been speaking for 41 minutes already, Kieran. We waffle so much, but we just love games so much. What was this game a shift in the way you played games? So had you played Choose Your Own Adventures before, or was this really opening a door and going, this is actually one of the genres I really resonate with now?
I mean, a lot of the games I played were like, it was up until like PS2 era, a lot of it was like platformers and little like adventure games like Harry Potter, stuff like that. And my number 1 game changed the way I thought about gaming completely, which gave a big shift. But this one vibed with me on like just my personality, just everything to do with me, which then made me want to play more of these like general life kind of adventure ones. So I'm always looking for games where you can choose characters' fates, you can like get to know people, have different relationships within the game, which I look for in most games I play now. So between the 2, my top 2 favorite games, it kind of like made me look towards those 2 specific genres.
Story driven and choose your own adventure. So if we had to make a perfect game for you, it would have to include relationship choices and hard hitting stories with great music.
Yeah, so stuff that would affect the character stories, the backstories, how everything is intermingled, how you can change it moving forward, stuff like that.
Nice, cool. I think I could honestly ask you so many questions about Life is Strange. We have only so many minutes in a podcast as well, so I'd love to move on to your number 1 game, the game that you resonate the most with. And I do want to remind everyone, this is not games potentially we think are absolute perfect 10 out of 10s, but games that we truly connect with, and games that hopefully you truly connect with when we speak to other people as well.
Yeah, because I mean, no game is perfect. Every game has the best parts and the worst parts, more so than others. But my number 1 game is the one that completely shifted the style of games I looked for. It went completely left field. Like the way I found out about it is my friend that lived above me. Like when I moved to the city I currently live in, there was a guy who lived above me who was a huge gamer. He played everything under the sun. so he said, "Oh, you might like this. I don't think you've played this genre of game before." Which so he handed me the PS2 game box of Final Fantasy X.
You literally answered already. The first question I was going to ask was, how did you even discover this game? Because it came out in 2001, so I'm not going to age you right now, but you were quite young, let's be honest.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, I think it was 2001 in Japan. It came out, I think it was 2002, it came out in Europe.
So, to repeat that, so Final Fantasy X is your number one game, right?
Yes, definitely number one. Peak.
Always will be.
It will not be topped. It is firmly there.
So, do you want to give a brief synopsis? Then I'll fill in the blanks again, and I'll ask you some questions about why this game, is regarded so highly in your head.
Yes. So Final Fantasy X is a Japanese role-playing game, which was the first one of its first kind of Japanese RPG that I ever played, and the game is centered around a group of characters, but the main character is Tidus, or if you're certain people, Tidus. But I can't.
It's officially Tidus, but I reject the notion.
I completely reject the name Tidus. It's Tidus forever.
Everyone, again on the bus, scream with me. It's Tidus. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah. But it's basically a story of. It's hard to kind of explain the game without spoiling so much.
you can just try and do a high level. Again, 2001. Hopefully, you're not holding out for spoiler-free descriptions. Yeah.
So if you haven't played this game, and it's been 22 years now,
oh God.
Please pick it up. But it's centered around this guy called Tidus, who's a sports star who plays the national sport, which is called blitzball. Blitzball is it's kind of like football, but just underwater.
This is working. This is going to get very dangerous trying to explain this game, because you're already going down the rabbit hole of blitzball.
Oh, I could speak about.
let's just keep a high level, buddy, or we're going to be here for 10 hours.
I could. It's my favorite mini game in games, period. So I could speak about it. I could play it on its own, just that little section of the game, for an infinite amount of time. It's there. But the main story is Tidus, who basically is trying to save the world of Spira. Well, it's the big one huge
whale monster.
Yeah,
Sin is attacking.
Yeah, from a big whale monster that basically goes around just wiping out things. And the general idea of it is, a lot of people think, because of the past people's sin, where they used forbidden things, they think that that's why sin comes and makes them repent. So it heavily dips into religious, political ideas of the story, and it follows Tidus and a little group of people he meets to try and fix the problem.
I think that's a very, very good summary without any spoilers. It's one of those things, without the spoilers, it's really hard to do that game justice in description. But let me tell you, it is a ride. It is a ride from start to finish.
Yeah.
I think we can do a little bit of spoilers. So, but Kieran didn't say, Tidus isn't actually from Spira. The great thing about this game, I think, Kieran, I assume you agree, is it's one of the few games you're actually experiencing a new world at the same time the protagonist is. Right? So Tidus doesn't know anything about Spira, neither do you. So anything he's asking, you're learning with him, and it makes you feel like you are Tidus on this adventure, I think.
Yeah, I think that whole idea of him not being from Spira and experiencing everything for the first time, I played this game for the first time when I just moved to the city I currently live in.
Oh, wow.
So those two things kind of attracted to me, this game, even if I didn't realize it at the time. I now see that I saw myself in the character experiencing all these new things for the first time.
Yeah, so you were almost running a parallel experience as you were playing it. So that's really nice to know. I'm just going to fill in a couple of blanks again, like I did with Life is Strange. So this is one of the last games that SquareSoft made before they did a merger with Square Enix. So yeah, they didn't have many games under the belt until Enix and Square. So Enix, known for the Dragon Quest series, they became one massive juggernaut. But it's regarded as one of the last games in the golden age of Final Fantasy. I think you'd agree too. I think 7, 8, 9, and 10. They're called the kind of golden era of great games, or 6 if you really want to go far back as well. But it sold a lot. Do you want to know how much the PS2 version sold, Kieran? You're probably going to guess super high now, and be like, no.
Like, and going back
just
to
the PS2, just the PS2.
Yeah, just the year it was in, it wouldn't have topped maybe 10 to 20 million units, maybe.
No, it's not. I regret saying that. It sold 8 million.
Okay.
So just to say, it sold 2.14 million in Japan on the first day, and then 5 million by June, and then worldwide it sold 8 million. It was at the time the best-selling PS2 game for ages and ages, which is very rare, I think, for a JRPG to do in the modern era of gaming with the Fortnites and Call of Duties and whatnot as well. So yeah,
I mean, modern units, it's just everything's digital, so it's like if you think about all the multi-platform games that you can play a game on, it's just millions and millions and millions. It'll always surpass what older games would ship just to one console in 1 year in one area.
Yeah, it was. It's crazy. The music, which we will touch on, Kieran, because you and me are both absolutely in love with the music of Final Fantasy, but just music in games in general. But it was done by the veteran composer Nobuo Uematsu. He did have help with this, so Final Fantasy 9 he had quite a lot of help with, and then 10 he took more of a backseat role. And the music was done by someone called Masashi Hamuzuz. Really big apologies if I'm saying that wrong. And Junya Nakano. So there was. Do you want a real fun fact which you probably haven't heard?
Please do.
So there was a secret about the main title theme, as there always is with Final Fantasy. And Nobuo Uematsu jokingly said once that Rod Stewart was going to be singing the main theme song this time because he was sick of everyone asking him who was going to do the main theme song. Do you know how many tracks? Many tracks are in Final Fantasy X?
Officially, maybe around like 20 to 30. 91. My God! Okay.
There's a lot. Finally, the guessing game worked, where it's more grandiose than you thought. I've got a few more facts. It was the first full voice casted Final Fantasy, and the English cast. Do you want to know some of the names? You probably recognize them as someone who knows it's their favorite game.
Yeah, I know the main part. Well, the most famous person I'd say would be John DiMaggio. John DiMaggio,
yeah. Do you know? So obviously he played Jake in Adventure Time and Bender and Futurama. But Tara Strong is Riku. So that name rings a bell for people. It's because she did Rugrats, Powerpuff Girls, Fairly Odd Parents. She's basically a Nickelodeon icon. Rin was played by Tom Kenny. And Once as well was played by Tom Kenny, the voice of SpongeBob. That's quite fun to know. And then James Arnold Taylor, the voice of Tidus. Do you know what other video game character he voices?
I do not.
He voices Ratchet from Ratchet and Clank series.
Okay, so
yeah,
crossover here. Okay.
A lot of crossover. So I'm expecting a Final Fantasy X Ratchet and Clank crossover. But yeah, I think Kieran summarized the game quite well without spoiling it. And yeah, you can pick up on the PS4, PS2, PS3. I think you can get it on the Vita. I think you can get it on the Switch now as well. There's no reason not to play it. But I do have a few questions for you, Kieran. I do have a few deep dive questions. This is one of my favorite games of all time as well. So I'm emotionally invested in this game and in your answers as well. So you already answered the first one about where you found about the game. I'm going to steal the show a bit and say how I found out about the game. I was at a friend's house and he was playing the game, and I hadn't really known what Final Fantasy was back then. I played a few games, but I didn't realize it was like a series. And I said, as a child, I pointed at the booklet and went, "I know how to get that sword." And I think you'll know what sword I'm talking about. It was the Brotherhood sword, the blue sword. And my friend was really impressed. His dad was not, and his dad went, "How?" And I had no idea. So I said, "I'm pretty sure you just get given it." To which it turns out, if I'm right, Kieran, you do just get given it.
You do, yes. That is a present from Waka to Titus when they leave on their journey.
And that told me lying was okay. Because you get away with it. So, first of all, who's your favorite character and why?
Well, I think the kind of like the standard answer for me would be Titus, mainly because I saw so much of myself at the time in him. Me being like the sporty guy in a new place, didn't really know much kind of thing. Fell in love with Blitzball. I saw myself just in his shoes for most of the game, which made one basically my favorite character. Really close shout out to Auron though, because Auron was my favorite character to use in fights. I'd love just having him just kind of like rock up with one arm, being just like donk and just like shooting everyone away with his shooting star special ability.
Now you know Auron's 33, right? But I want everyone, once they finish listening to this, to Google Auron, and you try and tell me that he is 33, because he does not. Titus even goes, "Can you keep up, old man?" And I was like, "Yeah, he is an old man. Look at him, he's about 55, 33.
I think maybe in that kind of culture, they just see anyone past the age of 30 as like a retired old man.
Well, that's really sad. Then that's I hate that. You mentioned briefly about the battle system. It is a turn-based battle system. It's really good in terms of if you don't want high-paced action and you want to really think about what move next is. I think Final Fantasy X is the best example of doing that. But Kieran, what is it about that battle system and the progression system with the sphere grid that just works for Final Fantasy X, in your opinion?
I think because turn-based in the game, it shows you on the right side of your screen kind of like the turns and the order it goes in. So maybe it goes like Titus, Riku, Auron, bad guy, your guy, and maybe like two of them, and it switches up. You can change it with haste or slow to slow down a character or speed them up. There's so many variations of a battle that can go sideways, and it's your job to come up with a strategy when the limited amount of turns you have to kind of deal with what you have. It can be difficult. There's like a lot of it starting off with is pretty easy, but if you're thinking up a strategy for end game bosses, then you really have to think about like the first couple turns you need to have to set up the whole fight.
Yeah, I'll never forget facing my first Marlboro in that, and they just get to go first with bad breath, and suddenly your whole party is just gone.
Poisons, blind,
confuse. Confuse is my worst enemy in Final Fantasy.
Like you miss attacks, you can't do spells, you can't see, hear, breathe. It's just you have to be careful because some enemies you walk into an area and you can get wiped. One move and that's it done. And it's not a game that auto saves. It's back when you manual save and then go and grind for a bit and you lose everything if you die up to that save.
I forgot it was actually manual save. Oh my god, I completely forgot about that. Jeez,
it's a very,
memories.
It's a stressful scenario. Most old games had that where you save at a certain point and everything up to that point is fine. But after that, if you die, then it just says game over and you have to put you back on the menu. And you're sitting there like, there's no way I lost. Because there's been many times where I've lost hours and hours and hours of work because I forgot to save. And then you could almost take a break. And just like, I have to go back and do all of it again.
Yeah, the battle system can be quite intense, but there's no difficulty settings either. Like in modern Final Fantasies, you just had to play on that difficulty, and you had what, two different sphere grid tactics. You could do expert or normal.
Yeah.
And it turns out if you do normal, you can actually complete the sphere grid faster. Expert just means Orin can be a black mage quicker, and Lulu can be a healer quicker. It's very strange. But I wanna quickly turn on to the music. Kieran, what's your favorite Final Fantasy X track?
They're my favorite track. I think it'd be song-wise. I think it would be the song that appears very near the start, where Orin is first introduced. The song's called "Otherworld."
Otherworld. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, Otherworld is by a guy where his
Do you
name.
want to say his name? His full name?
It's Bill. Still the X Mir maybe.
I'm literally playing it right now.
Yeah. So it's kind of like
track.
a big heavy rock track, which is a lot different to the kind of like almost classical soothing choir music you get for the rest of the game.
Yeah, I was not expecting that to be your favorite track. I was expecting it to be like Hum of the Faith or Tizanarkind, really relaxing.
Yeah, no.
You were talking about Life is Strange where you were just zenned out, and now suddenly you're like...
I think that's why I needed to zen out. Final Fantasy put me in my rock phase. Life is Strange calmed me down.
Fair enough.
Hymn of the Faith is the most iconic song almost in that game, where it has so many variations of it, where you go into different temples and you hear like a quiet version, like a more echoey version. There's loads of different versions of the song that everyone kind of almost gets their favorite version of it. Close second to Otherworld is the Blitzball song.
Oh.
It's literally called Blitz Off.
Gives me nightmares. You can listen to all these songs on Spotify as well. Luckily, Square Enix, unlike Nintendo, like to put their music on Spotify. So yeah, definitely give those tracks a listen. Give them all a listen, and go to the Life is Strange soundtrack as well, and give that a listen as well.
And then play the games, and then come back and re-listen to this, so you realize what emotionally scarring games you played.
Yeah, you'll come back crying once you play 10 and Life is Strange. Not our fault though. That's just a disclaimer. I have a couple more questions. Where we've hit the hour mark, so we don't want to go 2 hours in, and we certainly could go 2 hours. But how has this game continued to be your number one game, Kieran? Like, what keeps it at that top spot?
I think each phase of my life that I kind of move into, when I first played it and I was fairly young, and then playing again as a teenager, and then playing again as like an adult, you always take like something new away from it, whether it's like political standings or like character relationships or just anything. You see the game through a different light each time. It's got so many layers to the game that each time you play it, it's always going to be different. The way you think about it, who you side with, what your favorite thing about the game is, what bugs you about it. You can play it endlessly, and it still kind of affects you emotionally in different ways, which I love about the game. I'll play it again in like 10 years, and I'll see the game completely different to how I saw it when I first played it when I was like 8, 9.
Nice. And I guess signing off for Final Fantasy X as well is, do you have a particular memory? What's like the main memory from that game? Something funny, sad, or just a game glitch or quirk that maybe you thought was great that you just kind of, it lives rent free in your head essentially? Or do you remember, for example, being home really sick and playing the game, and it was a very pivotal scene as you were playing it? Like, what really stands out to you?
I think what I've spent the most time doing, which maybe came across obvious at the start, was me playing Blitzball. I will take this opinion to my grave that Blitzball is the best side story mini game, period. I know a lot of people are going to be up in arms because there's so many different ones, but playing Blitzball for the first time, like remember all of it. I remember seeing it, wanting to do it, like trying to figure out the mechanics behind it, the rules, like looking for different players, imagine myself doing it almost. Like the very first time I saw it, I was just like, I need more of this, and that tied into me playing like RPGs, and it just sent me down the rabbit hole of complete game nerd.
Do you remember the second JRPG that you played after Final Fantasy X? Because that clearly 10 really had an impact on your gaming, as you said.
Funnily enough, it was 10-2.
So was that game already out then, 10-2?
Yeah, the guy that let me 10 said, "Oh, now you can play the sequel," and handed me the box. So it was like 10-2. I was like, "There's no way."
Oh, so you're a wee bit late to 10 then. You weren't there. Oh, you were
yeah,
young, weren't you, though?
I was like 6, 7, 8, or something
Yeah,
like that.
fair enough.
I remember the biggest kind of thing for 10-2 though is the the game that I got given had a couple scratches on the 10-2 one. So I still have the game box, and if you play it, the intro song that you get in 10-2 halfway through starts like lagging and then freezing and goes like all the time. But if you put action replay cheats in, there's a cheat on action replay for the PS2, which is a disc that gives you cheats for games you can put on. And
Oh God, we could talk about that. I'm actually going to start talking about that in our next intro for the next podcast. Oh, what a thing!
basically, there was one you could select that lets you skip cinematic sequences, which you couldn't do yourself. You needed the cheat to do it. So it skipped the whole cinematic intro of the game, and then you save just like when you first control your character. You put action replay back in, take the cheat off, load it back in, and then you can play the game completely. But I had to do that just to play that game, because it was the only copy of the game I could find.
Jeez, would you like a 10? Would you like a 10-3 real quick?
10-3 technically kind of happened.
With the audio logs.
Yeah, there's in the remastered 10-10-2, they included a bunch of extra stuff, which originally was packaged with, I think the 10 game as some of it anyway was packaged with the original 10 box that was released in Japan, which included a bunch of things. There was a trailer for Kingdom Hearts. There was a few things on the second disc that was paired with it. It was only released in Japan, but the audio logs that came with 10-10-2 remastered, which came out a few years ago now, showed what happened after the end of 10-2. New characters, like Yuna, the main girl, saying Tidus's name, which kind of canonized Tidus. But I really enjoyed just seeing new things of it that I hadn't seen in over a decade.
That's fine. Cool. I think that wraps up your top two. I think quite nicely. So I'm going to do a quick rundown of your top five again. So number 5 was.
Go on. What do you think it was?
Oh God, I don't listen to you. Oh my God, I've actually genuinely forgot what number 5 was. Oh no. I know True Colors is 4.
Yeah.
I know Kingdom Hearts 2 is 3, and then Life is Strange and Final Fantasy 10.
Yes.
Number 5, for some reason, I can't remember for the life of me what it was. Shit.
You should probably remember it being the oldest game on the list.
Yeah, but all I can think about now is Sonic on the Mega Drive.
Number 5 was Ocarina of Time.
Ocarina of Time. Oh, of course. Yeah, I knew that. Cool. I think we'll wrap up. We'll do some final thoughts though. So my first final thought, and then what we'll do is we'll give any other game a shout or what we're playing right now. But here, my last Final Fantasy X question is: where would the best place to retire in Final Fantasy X be?
Ooh. See, I really want to say Besaid Village, because Besaid Village reminds me of where my granny stays in Fort William.
Oh,
I
that's
go
nice.
there every summer. I've been there every summer since I was born. It's second home, and I want to retire there, basically. But Besaid Island was so relaxed, and a little town, a couple of huts, everyone was very close. A lot of forest walks on like Besaid Island. I can almost like imagine it as kind of like a Fort William style area.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd say that, but I also kind of want to say Luca because I know for a fact that I'd watch every Blitzball game. I'd like support teams. It would just it's a bit of both.
Come on, Albert Sykes. I would probably pick Killica because it's in between Luca and Besaid. And again, it has what you said. It has like kind of that community. It's got jungle walks. It's right next to the water. It's kind of something that I resonate with as well. So
we've beasts to come and kill you whenever you're walking around.
We got Guardians for that. We got Guardians. Cool. And yeah, let's just give a final thought. Do you want to give a random game that's just currently in your mind at the moment a shout out? Like, are you playing anything at the moment, or is there any game in the last 5 years you just want to let people know about? Yeah, I put you on the spot there, didn't I? All those notes, where are they now?
I wrote so much more notes than what I used. I had pages.
We'll revisit, I guarantee. We guarantee.
So, I mean, right now I'm playing Horizon Forbidden West, which came out a while ago. And I did play the first one when it first came out, and then I did play the second one when it first came out. So I'm currently kind of just firmly stuck in just exploring it all because I'm playing on the PS5 on max settings, like 4K and everything, so it looks amazing, and I'm taking photos in the game, and I think it's a really, really good game. I also got the DLC with it as well, so I will be playing all of it, and it's a fairly long game. I've logged 30-40 plus hours into it already.
It's a good game length.
Yeah. It will never be as long as the amount of hours I put into Persona 5 Royal, though.
Or Final Fantasy X total.
Or 10. Yeah, I mean, I don't even want to. That's PS2, 3, 4, 5.
Yep. On repeat. Nice. And my game I want to give a wee shout out, that's kind of living rent free in my head right now, is Bugs and Taz's Time Warp. Do you remember that game?
Bugs and Taz's
Time Warp. It's great. It's a PlayStation 1 game. You play as Bugs or Taz the Tasmanian Devil, and you go into different time periods, and
I think I remember that.
Yeah, and you essentially, I can't really remember too much of it, but I think you collect like clocks and whatnot, and you just try and close up the fabric of time. And for some reason, I've just been thinking about that game because I never managed to complete it because I found it too difficult. Which is just another long list of games I'll never complete.
Speaking about games I never complete. Let's just shout out to Primal.
Yes, still a free download if you've got PlayStation Extra or the top tier PlayStation code. So if you want to complete Primal and send it to Kieran that you've completed it, please do. Same with Bugs and Taz. Show me that you've completed that. You'll get undue respect from me, and maybe potentially a shout out. I don't know. But yeah, that brings us to the end of Memory Card Not Found. I think we have now finally successfully found your memory card. We know your top 5. We know your top 2 games. And shout out one more time to Final Fantasy X. Any closing statements before we close the call with our musical segue?
I think all I'll say is next week we'll be finding your memory cards out.
Oh yeah, I need to start finding my memories on that. But yes, next week is my memory cards, and again, you will not be surprised to know Kingdom Hearts is in there after this discussion, but we will deep dive a bit more later. But yeah, that is the end of Memory Card Not Found. We will speak to you all next time. Kieran, give me the song, give me the outro song. 3, 2, 1. Bye.
Bye.